Welcome back to the show. I'm Nadine Dorries and you're with Talk TV, on TV and on radio, online and on your smart speaker. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves has accepted a £10,000 donation from a climate sceptic days before Labour ditched the £28 billion Green Pledge. Joining me now to talk about this in more detail is Andrew Montford, Deputy Director of Net Zero Watch. Andrew, Lord Donoghue is a Labour peer. Why is it an issue that he's donating money to the Shadow Chancellor? I mean, it's going to seem a bit suspicious to everybody that £10,000 went in just days before the £28 billion pledge was dumped. But tell me the bones of this. Why would it be wrong?
It would be wrong if it directly led to a change of policy. But I think the idea that such a small donation actually changed the Labour Party's policy, it's a bit daft, really. People make donations of that sort of size to politicians all the time to help with the cost of running their campaigns or their offices or whatever. The idea that you could buy the whole party off for that amount of money doesn't make any sense. I mean, how many people can afford to make that sort of donation to a party? You could be changing policy every 10 minutes. So I think this is a silly idea. I think Lord Donoghue has probably made the donation because he thinks that Rachel Reeves will make a good chancellor, and he wants to support her in her work. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the 28 billion at all.
You think? It's nice money if you can get it, isn't it? I mean, it's...
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, this is what politics is like. I mean, I'm sure you as a politician have had donations from people, but it won't change party policy. We've been campaigning for a long time to get Labour to change this 28 billion pound policy. If we had known it was as easy as just giving the Shadow Chancellor a few £1,000s, then we would have done that a long time ago, perhaps.
Okay, so first point is that it isn't just a few £1,000s, and that is actually quite a lot of money. Lord Donoghue is known as a climate change sceptic. There is slightly more. By the way, I never accepted a donation. There is actually a bit more to it. You know, you have to ask the question, why does somebody give a donation directly to a Shadow Chancellor who, in all likelihood, is going to become Chancellor later in the year? And I would say that's because you're hoping to buy the influence with that individual. That's why you're doing it. And when a climate change sceptic does that, it's at a time, days before the Labour Party drops its £28 billion pledge. It doesn't smell right. It stinks, in fact. And if I were Rachel Reeves, if I'd accepted that donation, what I would be doing now is giving it back. I mean, I wouldn't have accepted it. I wouldn't accept a donation from anybody who had an entrenched position on any policy that I may have had any influence over or responsibility for. It's about common sense, isn't it? It's the optics. It's about how it looks, about how it's perceived. Now, you might say, well, no, it's just a few £1,000s. Of course it wasn't. She's just a good egg. You know, well done you for kind of like putting over that impression. But that's just not how it is. How it is how people perceive it and how it looks. And how it looks is like it stinks like a great big rotting kipper. That's how it looks. That's how it smells.
There are always people out there who are going to try to sort of spin these kind of, it's almost a conspiracy theory. The idea that Rachel Reeves makes Labour Party policy on her own is a bit daft, really. Does Keir Starmer still seems to be committed to delivering net zero, and that hasn't changed. Why has the £10,000 not changed his view as well? I think, the reality of it was that the Conservative Party was making a lot of political mileage by criticising this huge unfunded commitment to spend money on vaguely defined green things. That was bad politics for the Labour Party And so, yeah, they wanted to reverse it. The optics may not be ideal, I guess. Yeah, in an ideal world, Lord Donoghue might sort of wonder whether he should have waited a couple of weeks to make the donation afterwards. But he may not be party to what is actually going on in the shadow cabinet. So yeah, I think people will make a lot of fuss about it, but in reality, there's nothing to see here.
So I love that. You may say that it's a conspiracy theory. A Labour source has told us Lord Donoghue is a long-standing friend of Rachel's and a Labour peer. She does not share his views on climate change and has spoken of her determination to be Britain's Green Chancellor. It is understood that Miss Reeves intends to keep the donation. Look, I'm going to tell you, I like Rachel Reeves. I think Rachel Reeves will make a good Chancellor. I couldn't help but agree with George Osborne. I have faith in Rachel Reeves. I think she's the daughter of teachers. Her parents were teachers in South London. She's lived a real life. I like her. So I'm not making any accusations against Rachel Reeves. It's not a conspiracy theory. What I'm saying is when you take a £10,000 donation from someone who's a mate of yours, who's a Labour peer, and he's your friend, and he gives you a £10,000 donation, and a few days later, as a Labour shadow chancellor, you dump exactly the policy he would want you to dump, whether he gave you the money or not. It stinks. And I expect better of Rachel Reeves, having myself spoken out and said, I don't think she'll be a bad chancellor. I expect better of her. And I hope she doesn't make mistakes like this again moving forward. Because if Labour are going to come to power, and they want to turn this country around like they say they do, they're going to need to try harder.
Absolutely. Yeah, the big picture is, I think that Labour is still committed to the green agenda, and Lord Donoghue's donation hasn't made any difference. That is really what we should be talking about. I mean, it feels to me, I mean, I'm not in the Westminster Village. It feels to me like Westminster tittle-tattle. The big issues are the fact that Labour and apparently the Conservatives as well want to continue down this crazy, irrational decarbonisation road, and yet that is becoming a serious problem for this country on so many different levels. It's an economic disaster. It's a national security disaster. It's a societal disaster. We really need to be talking about the big issues, not the tittle-tattle.